All right, guys, what's up? And welcome to another episode of the Daily VR Show. Business partner Thomas, also known as TJ, is on the chat. Say what's up, TJ.
What's going on, guys?
You can't see him because we're having, video issues of not having a webcam. So not
I
really
need a better webcam, but before we dive in, and I need a little bit better mic. I don't want to be using my headset while I'm on camera. I look like a goofball.
Yeah, I kind of laugh at those people that have headsets on the webcam.
Yeah, I'm not trying to be that guy. So I think as we said, you just want to start off, go down the list from our Vive.
Yeah, sort by the top for this week.
Okay, that's a good idea. I can't remember what number are we on right now. I think number 6.
This is episode 8, but I usually don't say the episode number in the video.
Yeah.
That way I never have to change it.
Seriously, especially if we end up releasing this one later or some BS. So
yeah, actually on YouTube right now it goes 1 through 5. I have number 6 that I haven't recorded yet, but I have it written down as what I plan on using it for. So there's 1 through 5, and then 007's on YouTube.
Oh wow, that's crazy. All right, so obviously we saw the Buzz Aldrin in a Vive. I guess it's cool, but you already highlighted that in one of your other videos, and it's not super important.
Yeah, and I don't really care about Buzz Aldrin now after watching the Joe Rogan Experience when they're talking about how he's a crazy person.
Oh, with Alex Jones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I tell you what, that was the most. What's crazy, bro? A little off topic that was the most watched podcast of Joe Rogan ever.
Oh yeah, dude, it's the most watched by like 3.
Yeah, ever on iTunes. I mean, that's incredible.
Well, and on his YouTube too. Let me go to.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me. It's probably well over 2 million because it was at like 700,000 the next day it was uploaded. Because that's when I watched it.
And I've seen a lot of comments like in on Reddit and stuff talking about how they watch Joe Rogan now.
Oh, I bet. What's cool is that Joe Rogan was even red-pilled towards the Vive a month or like over a year ago. I forgot. Was it Duncan Trussell who has one?
Yeah,
not him.
Duncan Trussell.
Oh, it is Duncan.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has one in.
And Jamie has one. Young Jamie has one.
Oh, true. That's true.
So
yeah.
The number one video, the Joe Rogan Experience of all time, has 3.7 million views right now, and it's the number 911 with Alex Jones.
Jesus.
The next best one is number 727 with Bill Burr, and that has 2.1 million, and that was recorded over a year ago.
Good God, dude. And they're still climbing in views too. So you know that Bill Burr one blew up, but it shows like what it equates to how big of this one blew up, you know? It's crazy. It's insane.
Yeah, it has almost 4 million. That's his ever by almost double right now.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Alex Jones is a big name, bro.
Yeah, as much as people hate InfoWars, whatever, we're not gonna get into that, but InfoWars is very, very big. I mean, he was saying he was getting 80 million views or so a week.
Yeah,
talking about CNN getting like 1 or 2.
YouTube channel, and then I have that like plug in the Channelytics type thing, and he gets almost 1,000 new subscribers a day.
I was gonna say it's actually a million some views. I think a day, not a week, or every show. I can't remember what it was, but it was similar.
Yeah.
Anyway, so back to our Vive. So I guess definitely we can tackle number 3 and number 4. So I mean, number 3 we can just brush over. It's kind of obvious. We actually did install the Vive software when we first got our first Vive headset, and I remember it being kind of a pain in the ass, but kind of cool at the same time because it could like read your cell phone text messages and whatnot. Of course, it was so buggy it didn't work, but the idea was cool, I guess. And now I guess we've installed the Vive software and started VR on multiple new computers that don't even have Windows on them, and I would say it's so seamless to just install Steam VR and call it a day. We kind of know this too.
Useless.
Yeah, I don't see the cool stuff that it came with. I can't remember. I don't know. I don't necessarily remember what the benefit of it other than you can like look at your cell phone or against some BS like that.
I think it has Viveport, but.
And what is Viveport necessarily? I don't remember.
It's, I guess, their version of Steam.
Oh, that sucks.
Because I think they knew that they were getting cut out of the equation.
Yeah, so they're like, hey, I'm gonna put some software out there. Yeah, they knew it from the beginning.
We want our own marketplace, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny how when you pull the Vive out of the box, it tells you to go to that website and and says download this. So you automatically just think, well, I'm gonna need that, but in reality, Nah, you just gotta go. You just gotta go to Steam VR and hit a little button. You can actually, it's cool too because there's actually a super easy way in Steam to just go download it, even if you don't hook up the headset. So if you know you have the headset being hooked up or something, you can download it to your hard drive, then in there. But let's go to this next one. I haven't seen this headline. This was 4 days ago. The Oculus exclusives are hampering developers.
I'll click on the article.
I was just saying, me too, and that's coming from HTC. And now definitely this is kind of ties into the Palmer Luckey kind of stuff when all this kind of other BS was going down, that he was paying company, which is also part of Facebook, I guess, when he was, paying these companies to stay exclusive to Vive or to Oculus, excuse me. And there's two ways to look at it. There's a side that, well, this way we have triple A level, maybe not necessarily triple A or a step down from triple A, a step above indie games level VR games. So we actually have funding for development. But on the other side of it, it's like, well, if we keep everything closed source, then we're going to have, headsets.
People off.
We're going to have exclusive games on headsets, and that's stupid. Competition derives from an open market, and if we're gonna do this BS where we turn it into a console war, I mean, come on. There's already segregation by having it on a computer, which is fine. The computer is the platform it should be on.
Yeah.
But you can't use a PSVR on a computer. You can use that display, but you can't use it for anything else. So by segregating it even more, dividing the PC market into two is just ridiculous. Imagine when the LG headset comes out, and it's already rumoring a higher resolution. I don't want to be able to not play games that I can only play on the Vive, but I want to, but I bought the new high resolution headset. I mean,
I think that's going to change a lot of things. Headsets with different, I guess, with
HMD. Yeah. Well, yeah. Obviously, you and I have said from the beginning, we need a better resolution in the headset. It's great for what it is now, but the next headset's one of the biggest things they should upgrade is the resolution. Now, again, it's going to be tough because right now you're looking at 980 Ti, 1070 levels. Those are budget high-end cards that are still in the high-end market, and those drive VR pretty well, but that's at this resolution at 90 hertz. Wait till we get, some resolution that's way, way higher than this, than the Vive has, and it's at 120 hertz. And I mean, you're talking possibly driving twice the horsepower. It might be twice as hard to run. And if it's twice as hard to run, you're going to get, 45 FPS instead of the 120 you need. You see what I'm getting at?
Yeah, it's going to be more expensive because you're looking at like $3,000 in hardware right there, because you have to have the top of the line graphics card.
Right. Well, hopefully, if AMD Vega ever releases this decade, we'll hopefully have some kind of competition. The cool thing is that the 1080 Ti came out, and right now the 1080 Ti is pretty much the best card for, it is the best card for VR. I mean, the Titan X has 12 gigs of RAM, but it actually has slower VRAM. The 1090 Ti has 11 gigabytes per, maybe it is gigabytes per second, I can't remember. Whereas the Titan X only has 10 XP. So, and that card just came out as, I think it was $699. I mean, that's pretty good for comparison to like what the 1080 was doing. So my hope is that AMD comes out of the gates shooting, so we can get some lower prices, and that way we can continue this path of cheaper graphics cards and more affordable VR.
Yeah, but so I mean, like, I guess if we want to look at it like this, like, how is it going to go to consumer? What's the fastest way to make it go consumer wise? And I guess the Vive as it sits right now and the Oculus as they sit right now are going to be, it's easier for the consumer to adopt, but for better, I guess, for the best VR experience, we want a better headset with better graphics cards.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would say, I've never tried an Oculus in terms of like setting it up on our own computer. So we don't necessarily know how easy it is to set up. Maybe it's easier than the Vive, which I personally doubt, especially since the Vive's integrated with Steam. And obviously that's subjective too. But there's going to be a point where, some dude sitting at home wants to play at VR, and that, there's a lot of people like that, but just can't do it because not necessarily they don't have the knowledge, but they don't want to pursue or mess around with all these and tinker with all these settings that are on the computer that can make it at least seem not difficult, but not daunting either, But
Oh, dude, it was daunting at first. I'm not gonna lie, it was daunting at first.
True. Yeah. It just, yeah, you're kind of, it's like, oh man, it's going to be a lot of work. I don't know if I'm going to do it. Obviously it wasn't as bad for us, but I can't imagine, especially when the Vive came out, good God, and all the bugs. I
Oh my
think the
God, it was
troubleshooting is the
horrible.
biggest
Yeah.
thing.
I don't think anybody. So people that are getting the Vive now, you guys are lucky. Like the first few months,
Ugh. Yeah.
like we're thinking like June, July, August, horrible. September,
Horrible.
still kind of horrible.
We
But
had
June,
months where we could only run the headset for more than 10 minutes before it cut out, and we have to restart Steam VR every time, only to find out it was some setting in the motherboard or in the BIOS to change on a USB setting to the motherboard. It was so stupid.
but nobody
Wasted
knew.
so much time. Yeah, no one knew because there was no trouble. There's only so much troubleshooting on the internet.
And God forbid you go to HTC for support.
Yeah, seriously, they'll call you back the next day that you have to leave a message or something. I'm curious what this article was about necessarily, though. Obviously, Oculus exclusives are hampering developers. I wonder if it means, let's see. Continuing on to explain that even though these games might not exist without Oculus funding, making them exclusive was problematic for developers in the long term as they cannot develop relative to the market size, and that Oculus was putting more cash in the market can ever recoup, or the developer can ever recoup. The studios might struggle to adapt with future titles. So he's saying they're trying to make these crazy, well-funded games that take tons of hours to make, but the market size isn't big enough because these dumbasses have segregated the market into two, because now it's an exclusive, and that's half the reason they're making so much damn money towards the game. So for future titles, when they go to develop the second game and the third game or something like that, or another game from that title.
When these I guess the developers don't have Oculus money, if they try to put something in that's equivalent to the quality, it's just not going to be the same because the market size isn't big enough to recuperate all the costs.
Right, yeah. It makes sense now that they put, especially because they're reiterating recoup. It makes sense. Like, oh, okay, now I'm thinking outside the box where it makes sense how we wouldn't have any money the second time. There's no one on a fucking Oculus. You have, okay, I guess using Reddit as an example is bad, but the Vive subreddit is at least double the Oculus subreddit from what I remember.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, but.
And I guess HTC and Facebook haven't put out the real numbers of what they've sold, but some accounts I feel like they're inflated, because if you actually look in these games, especially I always use Rec Room as an example. Rec Room is a free game with multiplayer, which that should be the most popular game at all times. But
I bet it is, hands down, especially now that it's got Oculus support.
But there's times you'll go in there and there's only 10, 15 people.
Yeah, but I would. So here's what you got to understand is now that the game's so big, there's multiple lobbies. How many times have we been in the lobby and we're not in the same one?
Yeah.
And that didn't happen for a while. They didn't make it so there was more than one server. So we really don't know how many people are on the game. My guess is that there's like, I got to be surprised if they're ever under like 500 people. I bet that even at 1 a.m. in the morning, you got people in Dubai or some other shit around the world.
There's this website where you can track like what games people are playing, but I've seen multiple like posts on Vive and stuff saying that they're confused why some of these games that only have one review on Steam have the most active users, and it's because of these bots or these, I guess, hackers that are basically making it seems like they have more players online than they were.
Well, yeah, it makes sense if you were to go out and buy your own licenses. That seems kind of silly. I guess the money would come back to you, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of a little loophole. I never really thought of that. You could go out and take the $100,000 you made and buy more games with $100,000. The only thing is you'd lose 30%, but that 30% might be worth losing if it looks like your player base is fucking huge. Yeah. Wow, look at us, dude. That's funny. I never thought about that, honestly. And we've said this too. Here's an example. What's that game that we bought? That I think it's Battle Dome. That game was badass, but the player base was already small, and then it just got even smaller. And now I can never find a game with anybody in it.
Yeah,
it's like
terrible. It sucks.
Well, and it's kind of like exponential growth. You're gonna have what? You're never really gonna have people. You're never gonna have 3 or 4 people online at the same time because they can't play against each other. You need a game of what, 8 or at least 6 people to play. And if those people are never gonna get on, then no one else is gonna get on. You got to gain traction. You have to have a lobby going at all times, or else your online community sucks.
And that's one of the bad things, I guess, with our Vive is that when a game comes out, it's instant hype train. So everybody's like, buy, and then they go on to the next game, and then it's like, buy the next game. And
I feel like they give a lot of criticism. I mean, I guess you could say that it's acidotal. You could say that about fucking every single fucking subreddit. But no, they're definitely right. They definitely get hype train about lots of games. It's funny how, and this applies to us too, how we can spend $800 on a headset and then spend a lot of money on our computer, and we're still kind of stingy on games. But at the same time, it makes sense because most of these are indie developers, and there's a bunch of bugs and shit. We don't want to deal with that,
Yeah.
Again, and it's funny because that's the other side of the argument for, well, let's have Oculus just fund everyone, but they got to be exclusive. It's like, man, can't have any. You have some push, but you need some pull.
And Valve's in the stingy train, just like us. They don't want to cough out cash.
Well, here's the cool thing about Valve is Valve says, okay, you know what? That's fine. We're not going to fund a bunch of people. We're just going to make the fucking game ourselves. We're going to do it ourselves. We're going to make our money and spend it to make it. I mean, look at what's it called? Not the Office. It's
The Lab.
The Lab. Yeah, The Lab. A lot of people acclaim is one of the best games on the Vive. And I swear to God, for people starting out, it really is. It kind of gives you even just like the demos that you run through. It's like, oh wow, this is like amazing.
If they were petty, they would make it so Oculus you can't use it, but Valve's not petty like that.
No, Valve's really the way to go, honestly. The fact, and I've said this multiple times, every time I talk about the Vive and someone's asking questions about it, and they at least know what Steam is, I try to incorporate that. Like, Steam makes this so much easier. The fact that there's a VR section under Steam it's so nice. It makes everything so much easier.
And that they're the ones that are writing the software to make sure that the VR headset works.
Well, now I still only have to remember one account instead of having to download, make a new Oculus account and have all my games stored on another thing. It's just another thing I don't have to worry about. I already have money sitting on the Steam store with my debit card and Steam cards, whatever. Those can go towards VR games too. It's just seamless. To me, it's the future of VR, that kind of style. Valve's definitely taken some huge strides forward towards what VR needs to be. But as long as they can fix that resolution and that damn head strap, I think the next VR headset's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're definitely going to jump on those.
So here's what I'm concerned. So my guess, I'm very curious of what the LG headset's tracking is going to use. I would be blown away if it didn't use the same tracking as Steam VR or some kind of.
Steam's trying to make it so everybody uses Steam tracking.
Well, yeah, instead of patenting it, excuse me, and making it so you can only use it on their headset, they're trying to make it more open source, and hell, you can even buy the trackers and implement them more so you can use more than just controllers. I mean, well,
their whole thing is that if you're using the Steam VR tracking, you're probably going to put your
games on Steam,
and they're going to make their 30% regardless.
Yeah, they're going to make. Gabe Newell knew that he will make more money by making the technology open source because it's so good. I mean, it's seriously, Oculus has to use 4 freaking cameras to achieve somewhat of the same tracking as Steam VR. I mean, that's ludicrous. I can't even imagine if they added another sensor into Steam VR. I don't necessarily know what they would need to do that for, unless it would just be because the play space is bigger. That's the one thing I would say that would be cool, is that, and it'd be kind of unnecessary, but it'd be fun to tinker with too, especially since you only have a limited cable length, which is also swappable, and the wireless. Yeah. So imagine you have I'm just getting crazy, but imagine you had a small gymnasium and you're like, well, I got 4 sensors. It'd be cool if you had the option to have 4, because then it would at least extend the range.
That'd be crazy. That's what we should do.
Right. I wish they just had the option to do that. Whereas Oculus, you can plug in as many cameras. Now, on the contrary, which is also super, 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 super consumer friendly, is that the Oculus cameras use USB, and running 4 of those around the room sounds terrible. I don't want to do that. The fact that these Vive sensors are wireless is honestly great. I never thought about that, and I didn't even know it till I got the headset, to be honest with you. I had no clue how it hooked up. I assumed it was USB. I mean, that's a game changer, dude. The fact that, especially since when we move around the Vive all the time, I mean, hell, could you imagine having to run a long USB to it every time? It'd be terrible.
I have to do that right now. Racing simulator, and it's still a pain in the butt.
Yeah. So, yeah, imagine doing it in the corners of the room. But yeah, man, having 3 or 4 would be so dope to just make a gigantic play space with wireless, bro. It'd be so much like you're there. Being able to run around and not have to teleport anywhere would literally be the most insane thing ever. Could you imagine playing Rec Room paintball and you only have to teleport like 3 times? That'd be so freaking awesome. Oh my gosh.
And you could still have the boundaries and stuff, so
that's what I'm saying.
It would prevent you from going to somebody else's play space.
Yeah, exactly. That is the future to me. Plus, So imagine this. You know how you can use 2 sensors and run multiple Vives? You just got to make sure the play space is marked off, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Same thing. What if we had 4? All computers can use 4. You just gotta, or even better is we all are in the same play space, but I see you 24/7.
Yeah,
So I
that'd be
know not to
crazy.
go run through you. They might have like in Rec Room, if the same people, I don't know. Obviously, I'm just getting crazy and I'm talking out my ass, but that kind of stuff would be sweet. And we can definitely see that it's possible with the hardware and the technology we have now. It's just not in the software as we have it right now. All Valve has to do is program it so all 4 sensors can work in
Yeah,
unison.
like if there's even a little bit of demand, I don't see why they wouldn't do it. Not too much of a
right, or to have the computers communicate so you can say, hey, your dipshit friend's right next to you, don't run into him.
Yeah.
Or that he looks different in the VR world,
My
especially
thing
if
is,
you're in a
what
social game.
if we had 2 1080s or 1080 Ti's? Could we run 2 VR headsets?
No, because how the computer runs. So, well, I take that back. So if you could, and there's ways to do this because Linus Tech Tips did this, and it wasn't VR, but it was something else, and it was fucking crazy. So what he did is he ran. You can do something. So you can run multiple operating systems on one computer, and you run. So it's like you're running. It's actually running VMs in a way. So what you would do is you'd be able to plug in. So this guy, Linus Tech Tips, he had 9 video cards, 9 AMD. I think it was the Mini Furies or something. It was, I forgot what they're calling.
Why does he have 9?
Because he has a motherboard that can support it, and he had like a 16 core,
Did they
32
send
thread.
them to him?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And then he hooked up 9 X34s to these things. 9 X34s, and we're playing Crisis on one computer.
That's
9.
Computer, right?
Yes.
Why does he have 9
9.
of those? That's 9,000. That's almost 10 grand.
That's well over 10 grand. But remember, he got all this sent to him. It was over a $60,000 build.
Where does he keep all that? Does he have a warehouse?
Well, yeah, but his office is pretty much just a giant warehouse with offices. But my point being is that he had to send most of the stuff back, but he also got a lot of money for that because it's sponsorship. My point being is that we could run probably 2 1080 Ti's because you can dedicate one GPU to one VM, and then you can dedicate half your processor to one VM and half the processor to the other VM, and we could run 2 VRs headsets off one. The only problem is they'd be 2 separate versions of Windows, so that they wouldn't see each other, but they could use different hardware. It'd be cool. It'd be hard to do, but we could probably do it somehow. I don't know how the hell we would do it. I know you have to map the mouse and keyboards and that to each one, and that gets tricky. So who knows how the USB part would work, but it's possible. I hope that kind of stuff, that kind of open source compatibility BS continues. Valve's taking the right direction. Not that we just want to shit on Oculus, but I mean, they really are kind of taking some steps back.
Yeah, they have nothing that's like superior right now.
Right. Well, I mean, to be fair, their controllers are, but again, on the contrary, we've seen before their controllers even released, which took a year, mind you, which are better than the Vive controllers currently. The new Vive controllers that were in not beta, but they were, what's the word I'm looking for? Prototype. There are prototypes. Those look pretty much the exact same as the Oculus, but with a trackpad. Same concept, small, fit around your hand, feel more natural, feel like a gun with a trigger.
And they come with this.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I don't have to hook them up with little baby cameras, little Oculus cameras. But yeah, so once those release, I mean, who knows? And the Vive 2's in works. I pray to God they have different head strap. I mean, obviously they better up the resolution too. I mean, those are really my only 2 complaints.
Well, I'm thinking the Vive 2 is the LG one that HTC is making with LG. Or not HTC, the one that Valve's making with LG.
Yeah, I mean, I hope
technically the Vive 2 if you want to say that the Vive was created by Valve.
Right. Well, I'm thinking HTC will make their own second headset, and LG will use the software. Just like I'm assuming OSVR uses SteamVR.
Yeah.
I don't know how the tracking works, and I don't know anything too much about OSVR other than the headset's very similar.
It'd be silly not to use
SteamVR. Well, I think they have to, because what else would they be able to use? Or not tracking, excuse me. I'm talking about for OSVR at least, like, I don't know. They have to use SteamVR to.
Yeah, it saves them a lot of time and money.
Right. Yeah, it'd be silly. And again, like you're saying, I think they'd be silly not to use, or LG would be silly not to use those. Plus, those new wider field of view freaking sensors are going to help even more. The field of view on the sensors are right now already pretty wide, but you saw those like curved sensors.
Yeah.
Those were sweet. Plus, they're going to be cheaper too. They have to be. Oculus just did a huge price drop, and realistically, you can get a pretty similar setup to the Vive for like $600, thanks to the cameras, the controllers, and the headset all going down in price. Which,
Yeah.
in my opinion, is a pretty smart choice.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're listening to this right now and you're on the borderline of getting a VR setup, right now, as it sits right now, you might as well go with the Oculus. But
Right.
give it a couple more months, you'll get Valve's second.
Yeah, I think anyone should wait for a headset right now, but definitely if you're like, I need a headset now, I mean the Oculus is definitely better for the price. But at the same time, I still think the Vive is better. It's just like, how do you justify that extra 200 when new technology come out here pretty soon? I don't know. In the end, like you're saying, Oculus is a better choice, but
Yeah, if you need it at
waiting
this
is
moment,
best.
or if you want it like before the summertime, yeah, get the Oculus. But if you plan on buying a second headset later on, I mean, you're probably gonna keep buying virtual reality headsets throughout your whole life, just like you're buying fucking smartphones.
And monitors and graphics
Yeah.
cards and et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, we really need a 1080 Ti just so we can push the Vive, and then when we get a new headset, we have that future proof. I gotta, and again, just like I was showing you the math, or I really wasn't really showing you the math, but it's super easy math just to calculate how hard something is to run. And just by cranking it to 120 hertz, it makes it technically 30 times harder to run. Every hertz it makes it, time. Oh, maybe not necessarily that, not 30 times, but you get my point. It definitely makes it more difficult to run. I would think it would be. Well, it'd be 30 times harder for that resolution. But yeah, regardless, I think 120 hertz. I mean, seriously, I think you've seen. You haven't. I don't know if you've actually seen a good 144 hertz monitor in front of you, because I haven't owned one in years, and you never saw that one. But regardless, you've seen the 100 hertz on my monitor, and it looks pretty damn nice. Just like the inside of the 90 hertz looks nice in the headset. You can definitely tell it's smoother than like your LG at 75 or like any other 60 hertz monitor. It's just 120 hertz could really, 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 really take VR to another world. I mean, you know just as much as I do. Okay. You know just as much as I do that. Crap, what was I trying to say here? Lost my train of
Frame
thought.
rate.
Oh, you know just as much as I do that when it goes down to 45 FPS, VR sucks. I would never want to play it on 40 FPS. And to think that the PSVR runs on 60 is kind of like, wow. You know what? All the people that have tried PSVR before me told me it gets some kind of motion sick. Well, I'm like, well, it runs at 60 FPS. Every person that's tried it, not a single person's been sick, unless they're, well, really only we've ever got sick from the Vive, and that's because, we were,
Frame drops, bad games.
Yeah.
It all really depends.
Oh, no. Well, the ones where it moves you in game, but you just stand there, you know what I'm saying, instead of teleporting. Those ones always make me really feel weird, especially if it's going really fast.
Battle Dome used to get me pretty sick, depending on if I'd like teleport into a wall, and it would like put me like where I'm floating.
Right. I know, definitely.
Anytime I'm like floating in the sky, kind of makes me. I feel like I'm so immersed that I feel like I'm actually floating.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Well, what do you say we wrap this one up, Chase?
Yeah. This was good. I guess a good episode of the Daily VR Show. This one was a little bit longer. I guess it's since I'm by myself. When I do those videos, boring talking about my.
Yeah, no, definitely having someone to bounce some ideas back and forth, or some definitely make it a little more interesting. It's funny, we didn't even actually talk too much about the our Vive stuff. Only 3 or 4 posts because we would go off on tangents, but that's what the podcast is for.
Yeah.
All right, I think we wrapped this up. Chase, good talking to you. Hopefully we can have another one here next week.
Yeah.
Continue the news. Hopefully we have some new news on the LG headset.
Yeah, hopefully something new pops off and we got something to talk about.
All right. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, guys. Peace.
Peace.